have to say it's an honor to be here because a year ago I launched my own business, Pocket Ninja Strategies, and this was the first event I ever came to in my career where my name tag, which I kept by the way, got to say my company on it. So it's really awesome to be here a year later up at the podium. Can't believe I kept this, but I did. So my story starts when I was fortunate enough to become the first communications and marketing manager for the Whistler Chamber of Commerce, pre-2010 Winter Olympic Games. So this was a really exciting position. No one had ever been in it before, and I was coming into a time when they needed someone to do a lot of work and bring the whole, team up to speed. And, I thought I had many stand my ground moments pre and during the Winter Olympic Games, what we were going to put in the newsletter and what the copy of our ad should be. No one had ever done this job before, and what should our communications policies be? And so when the games were over, I was very proud of myself for all those small victories I had had standing my ground. The games ended, and I was super excited to kick back, relax, enjoy the fruits of my labor, and just, enjoy everyday life in this new fantastic role without the pressure of the games. Then news broke. This was big news, and it went international fast. The headlines read, 100 dogs killed in Whistler, allegedly, after they were no longer needed for the games. This news was big, it was emotion-filled, and it incited people, and it made many organizations and many people in Whistler a target. I just want to add a little disclaimer to my talk, that my talk is not about this event or any of the specific facts, because the truth is, as we know, facts about events like this are hard to come by, and few people know the truth. It's just about my story in this case. So there I was, post-2010, ready to, rest on my laurels and enjoy the fruits of my labor. And I was actually in the middle of a firestorm that I was not prepared for. We had people calling the Chamber of Commerce demanding we revoke their business license and we need to stop selling their services. But, we actually didn't issue their business license. That was the municipality. And we didn't sell their services. That was Tourism Whistler or other third-party website vendors. And we weren't the Better Business Bureau where we rated businesses and approved them or disapproved of them. We were actually just a Chamber of Commerce. We sold a membership and we offered benefits. Do you think this fact mattered to anyone? No, it did not. So what to do? We had to take some action. People were calling us and demanding we do something. We thought, well, I guess we could revoke their membership. And then we thought, no, these are allegations and they're not facts. And we're not going to revoke their membership. And, we really don't have the power to do so. It's a member organization and they can pay to be a member. So we're not going to do that. So as any, communication organization does and member organization does, we wrote a press release. And armed with my press release, I became the designated person to take any phone call from anyone calling about this topic. Our president would not be answering any calls or any requests from the media. Wait, so me? Has to be the one. I did, lots of media prep for my president during the Olympics, but I never had to be the one on the other end of those tough questions. So armed with my press release, I was the one that had to stand on the front line. And I thought, how am I going to do this with all these irate people calling from all over the world who were demanding answers? And I said, well, I guess I have to stand my ground. So the calls came in. I had a call where they demanded to speak to the president because when they called, they always got to speak to the president. They were not happy to hear that they were only going to speak to lowly me. But I just calmly replied and let them know the facts. I had someone call me and tell me that I was clearly a murderer because I was in Whistler and obviously I was involved. I responded with facts, which of course, are irrelevant. I had people call me to tell me that they were canceling their vacation. I thanked them and asked them, is there anything else I could do for them? And so what I learned in this moment of having to be the front line and stand my ground is I knew that I wasn't going to back down, and that's part of standing your ground. But it also means letting other people stand theirs. And I was on the phone a lot of time letting other people stand their ground on this topic and what they thought they knew about it. I actually had one person tell me, are you still there? Because I was just letting them stand theirs, and that was okay. It also means hearing people out. It means saying the facts, even though you know those facts will make no difference at all. So standing my ground for me is, you don't know means you don't know when, and you don't always know why you'll have to stand your ground or for what matter. And it often is not a matter you choose to stand your ground on that you'd pick. And I also learned that you will be able to stand your ground when called upon with more skill, more humility, and more humor than you thought possible. I certainly had a few laughs being called a murderer around my colleagues. I was in an open office. So I was on the phone dealing with people calling from all over the world about, animals being murdered. And, everyone else was on their regular client calls, and I was dealing with those. So, I learned that you actually can have quite a sense of humor around this. But one of the things that I really learned in preparing for this talk was I hadn't even thought about this event since it had passed. And it wasn't until I saw this event and started thinking, oh, where have I stood my ground, that this event came up and I remembered it. It's been almost 7 years and I completely forgot. And so this really taught me the most important lesson of standing my ground, which comes from the wise words of Dr. Seuss, which is, be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind. So I'd like to thank Dr. Seuss for that. And I would also like to say, go out and stand your ground. And I would like to dedicate my story here today to all those other people in Worcester, because I was really not on the front line compared to many other organizations and people who were right in the middle of this controversy, who had their lives threatened, their reputations disparaged, and their faith in humanity questioned. And so they are my heroes because they bared that with their heart and their soul, and they forged on. So thank you.